Hi, and welcome to the Transform Your Wellness podcast. I'm Karen Hagberg, and I'm a health, wellness, and life coach who help people transform their wellness and life and help them create more balance, ultimate wellness, and a life they love. The Transform Your Wellness podcast is heartfelt conversations with incredible people who are contributing and following their passion and soul purpose. It's conversations with people who have not only transformed their own life, but also contribute to the world by helping others as well. Today, I have the absolute privilege to have a heartfelt conversation with Wayne Donnelly that I recently connected with over social media. My intuition told me that this was a person that had a fighting spirit and something big he wanted to share with the world. Wayne was an accountant and financial planner until he discovered hypnosis. After an experience that could have ended his life turned around dramatically to a new path. He studied hypnosis and NLP in 2009, and since then he has transformed lives by transforming minds in therapy, business coaching, and entertainment. And the title of this podcast is Hitting the Stage of Life. So it's my great pleasure to introduce you all to Wayne Donnelly. Welcome, Wayne, to the podcast.
Hi, Corinne. How are you doing? Thank you for having me.
I'm doing good. And for any of the people that are actually watching this podcast on YouTube, you will see the beautiful outlook we have behind Wayne here, standing right at the cliff edge. Where exactly are you, Wayne?
This is north of Oka on the Central Coast, about 100 kilometres north of Sydney. And if we'd started early, you would have seen a pot of dolphins behind us. Beautiful morning.
How magic, eh?
Very.
Yeah. So I have not known you for that long, but via social media, you definitely attracted my attention because we have got a little bit in common. I also noticed that you've done training, NLP training, and so have I, and also hypnosis training. And what drew my attention really was that you do stage hypnosis, which is something that myself have always had a great interest of. I find it just so much fun. And I can remember when I was doing my hypnosis training, nearly absolutely wetting myself laughing, watching the stage hypnosis going on. So, but before we go into that, talking about hypnosis, Wayne, tell me a little bit about your background.
Okay, well, I had a career as an accountant and financial planner, as you mentioned. And as I got into 2005, one of my passions was rowing surfboats. And I had, in one particular season, ruptured my L4, L5. And after several months of incredible pain, found myself in front of a doctor saying, look, if we don't operate in the morning, you're going to be a paraplegic. So I went into hospital. I was in Royal North Shore in Sydney one Friday night in June 2005. And while I'm waiting for the surgery in that next morning, I lost all the feeling in my legs. Starting at the toes, everything just tingled up to the waist. So I didn't have any feeling prior to surgery. And after the surgery on Saturday morning, the doctor came in and said, look, you're not going to be a paraplegic, but just make sure you don't cough, laugh, or move over the weekend in case you get blood on the spine and then you're a paraplegic. So Monday morning, he said, look, all clear. And then he said, but you had so much water on your bladder because they only put in a drip, not a catheter. So there's just fluid going in. And they said, you'll probably never use your bladder again, which was of quite concern. And I had to pee 3 times that day to convince him that he shouldn't put in a bladder bag. So I went home and I was okay for a couple of weeks. Like, I wasn't allowed to sit down unless I was eating or going to the toilet. And after a few weeks, the pain came back, and I gradually got up to a box of Panadine Fort a day, which is heavy duty going.
That's a lot of Panadine Fort.
Yeah, and I was still going through some issues with my my ex-wife, so we weren't having good conversation and on the phone. And every time we did, I'd just go and knock back a 6-pack of Woodstock and bourbon and Coke. So that combined with the Panadine Fort's not a very good combination. I can recommend not doing it. So several months later, we come to the October long weekend, and I'd run out of Panadine Fort, but I found a box of opioids, which I'd been taking prior to surgery. So I knocked back those, and I was feeling pretty good for a couple of days. And then a week later, I took the week off work. No one knew where I was. I was in a very dark place and found myself just around the corner, actually, on top of the Skillion, Terrigal. And I decided that it was all too much, and I was just on the edge of the rocks, looking down at the water, similar to, well, this is only a few feet, but similar to that, a couple of hundred feet, looking down and just about to step off, and my phone rang. It was one of my best mates, and I grabbed the phone out of my pocket and thought, oh, should I answer it? And fortunately I did, otherwise we wouldn't be making this recording. And through a couple of connections, I ended up in front of about a month or two later, I was sitting in front of a guy who was a counsellor and focused on hypnosis and NLP. And in 3 or 4 sessions, he turned my life around from trying to end it to embracing life. And a couple of years later, 2008, the GFC comes along. I was running a financial planning firm, and my future was freed up for new opportunities. So I thought, what will I do now? And with the work of a coach, I decided the direction should be in helping other people the way I'd been helped, as I just talked about. So I did my studies in NLP, and then a little while later did my diploma in clinical hypnotherapy. From there, it was 2009, so I just started working with people, just changing lives by changing minds. And then I discovered, I went into business coaching, because for any of us who have a business, it's a reflection of what we've got going on inside us. The business is a reflection of the owner. So I was doing a lot of work there. And then on top of that, I discovered the stage, and I love doing stage shows, which I've been doing since 2011. It's 10 years now, and I've travelled around Australia a couple of times. Bit of a gypsy at times, and just a thrill of introducing people to the power of the mind. And the stage shows are a way of educating people about the power of the mind, because you get so many cynics come along saying it's all bullshit. And by the end of the show, they said, look, I know my mate wouldn't have done that. I had to see that. Now I believe that there is a power that's within us that we're not tapping into. And a lot of my clients come from people who've been to the shows.
What a story, eh? So just back to the surfboat rowing, Wayne, and that's another thing we actually got in common, not perhaps surfboat rowing, but my family does, my daughter does surfboat rowing, and I have got a rowing background, as you found out yesterday. So that's interesting. But I was going to say, so the accident you have, that happened when you were rowing, did it?
Yeah, over time, because when you're out in the surf, you're getting knocked around. Like I'd row bow or second bow. For those of you who are not familiar, it's the pointy end of the boat. So when you hit a wave, you're going up and you're getting smacked down, you're getting hit from the side, you might roll the boat. There was an issue with our technique, which overexposed our lower backs. So another rower and myself both got injured through that. But it was very, very painful. But the thrill of surfboat rowing, because it is a bit of an adrenaline sport, rowing out, you can't see the waves. You only look at the face of the sweep. Or you're looking at your oar, and every now and again you see the face of the sweep. Is he poker faced, or is he
Yeah.
like that? If he's jumping out, you know it's really bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or catching a wave in, he can't see the wave.
Yeah.
It's behind him, and then we're watching. You know, when you're in a big surf, you're watching these waves come up behind you, and then the boat shoots down the wave. He's got to hold it straight. You run back to the back of the boat, and it's when it's done right, it's such a thrill. When it's done wrong and you slew, you go to one side and you roll the boat. That's not. It's exciting, but it's not as exhilarating.
Yeah. But you obviously were very passionate about that. But after you've had the injury, then you couldn't be doing the rowing anymore?
I couldn't row. The surgeon said it'd be 3 years for my nerves to heal. And I gradually got into coaching the rowing.
Yeah.
So I'd be up the back of the boat with a big stick, the sweep oar, and coaching people, and being, of course, very, very careful about correct technique to protect the back.
Yeah. Yeah. So the friend that rang you up when you were right at the end of the cliff there, was that a rowing friend or?
Yeah, it was one of the guys in the crew who happened to be a
Yeah.
GP,
Okay.
and he put me on to antidepressants,
Yeah.
which I was hesitant about because I'd seen other people have negative experiences,
Yeah.
and my experience was negative also.
Mm.
And when you try to get off them, you got to go really, 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 really slow. Because if you just stop, it's like, the only way I can explain it is after about 2 or 3 days of going cold turkey on antidepressants, it seems like you're in a wobble board.
Yeah.
That like Rolf Harris had, and you'd sort of jump out in front of your body, you'd bounce back and go out the other side, and people would know that you were not coping. Wayne, just take them. Because I was not making a lot of sense.
So he was really your angel at the time, wasn't he?
At the time, funnily enough, I had my phone on me. If I hadn't had the phone on me, I'd have just gone. Because I jumped over the first fence, went down. There's another little fence, and then you go to the edge. And it's not not something I recommend to anyone. Because fortunately, he rang, because then I've had all these experiences of the last 16 years, which I wouldn't have had. And the experience is like you paint yourself into a corner. Because through the, and I don't know how in tune all our listeners are, but you create your own reality. So the focus on all the negative thoughts of the past, like divorce, separation and divorce, and anguish with all those things, and the business failure, and of course the threat of being a paraplegic, all that came together. And focus was on that, created a lot of negativity, and it's created this dreadful reality that I thought I had nowhere to go, that I painted myself into a corner, and this was the only option in my mind, because it wasn't the only option.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's a few listeners out there that have been in situations, perhaps not exactly like yours, but in their mind feel like, what's the point? They've been at that really dark spot, and it's probably more people than we actually can imagine that have been there. But sometimes we don't openly talk about it, do we?
No, we don't. And that's the thing, because you don't want to feel embarrassed in front of your friends that you're not coping. So it's not just the stigma around mental health. It's all about the pride of reaching out and say, hey, look, I don't know what to do. I can't handle life anymore. And even saying that is releasing that burden that you've been carrying. Like when I worked with this coach to help me go on this path, the mission statement that we created was I wanted to help other people the way I'd been helped when I was in that downtime. And I see a lot of people for overcoming traumas and depression and getting rid of all the crappy stuff in our head so we can make more room for the good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So You obviously had great success with this coach you went to see that I believe was an NLP trained person as well. Is that right?
Uh, the life coach I saw initially wasn't, but very familiar with NLP. And then I ended up, that was after I'd seen my counselor who just, it's like he just got inside my head and rewired it. That's the easiest way to explain it. And a lot of people can't understand that because they think, well, wait a minute, isn't our mind set in a certain way? And yeah, there's wiring there, put in the conditioning from our imprint period in the first 7 years of our life, and then through our role modeling period, and then through our social, how do we socialize? That socializing period from 14 to 21. It is wired, but it's not set in concrete. So we can change the way our mind functions, or we can, another way of putting it is we can rearrange our mind so we can have another view of the world, which frees us up to have a different reality.
Yeah, that's so true, hey. And we all got a different model of the world.
Oh, we have.
Yeah.
Just moving that phone just as I think it's safe to go back into the rock where I had it placed.
Yeah. So you really took by obviously learning about the mind and made the decision you wanted to help other people. How do you feel when you get to open people's mind about their infinite possibilities, really?
Oh, it is so beautiful, because when you're watching them, like with the NLP processes, you don't have to have your eyes closed. Hypnosis is a state of mind, not a state of eyes. So when you're working with them and you're reframing things, sorry, that's when it didn't work. Sorry, folks. So when you're reframing their mind and you see the eyes move, it's like a light comes on and their eyes change. It's like hard to explain if you haven't seen it. You've probably seen it, Kieran.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where there's something clicks and they just go, it's such a big aha moment. Wait, the world isn't like that. And all of a sudden the blinkers are removed and they can start seeing possibilities. They can start seeing doors open instead of walls. And it's a sense of freedom. I remember when I did my NLP training, it happened to me. And I thought, who put in this set of eyes? Because all the things I saw previously were different to what I was seeing now. And I was like, wow, this is just, it's euphoric. It's just such a mind-blowing experience.
It is really incredible. What do we say? You see the world through rose-colored glasses, or perhaps dark glasses, or whatever. And I remember also when I did my training, it was literally like taking the glasses off and you look around and you go, wow, the possibilities that you just didn't see before. So yeah, it loosens up. I guess we loosen up the rigidness of someone's mind of how they believe it is. And in the end, it's in our mind, isn't it?
Yeah, everything's in our mind. And we can change the wiring, the neurological pathways, for those who are familiar with that term. Just seeing things in a different way to give you a different reality.
Yeah. So how do you feel right now about, just if you just reflect on there, you're standing there now, the journey you've been on, and just looking back at, I mean, I'm just thinking you're in such a beautiful spot, but yet you are literally on the cliff there.
Yeah, I showed you before. That's right. This is only maybe a couple of meters.
Yeah.
But it's just beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah, that's interesting, because things change gradually. You don't often stop and say, oh, how far have I come on this journey? But
Yeah.
if I was to look back now, like look back to 2005 when I was around the corner on a cliff, and I'm thinking, wow, I'm in such a different place. My career is totally different. I'm in a business. I'm really making powerful change, having a great impact on my clients and my audiences. When I get on stage, I'm at home.
Yeah.
It's like the stage is my office, and I own it. It really is a very safe place for me, because I control it. I look after people. I make sure when the show's finished that people go off feeling better than when they came on. I do a lot of positive post-hypnotic suggestions. So when they leave, every time they look in the mirror, they'll feel really good about themselves and be happy and value themselves. And looking back on that, I couldn't ever have imagined doing that when I was an accountant sitting in an office, looking after someone else's business. And now I'm really privileged to be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, there's a difference in between doing something for the sake of doing it and doing something that you really love, eh?
Oh, yeah. And I just want to impact more people and work with larger groups to make that change. So in the business coaching area, you're giving people a more positive outlook, greater resilience, so they can be more productive and the business be more profitable and everyone be happier. For groups, I do group workshops for smoking and weight loss and overcoming phobias, which is a lot of fun, because when you see someone come in shaking at the sight of a spider in a resin block, it's dead, it's 5 meters away, but they're shaking and almost crying, and then half an hour later they're playing with a funnel web in the milking room. I'll share that video with you. It's really awesome. And it's just
That's incredible.
so powerful. And it does feel like at times it does feel like having a superpower, because you can make such powerful change. Sorry, I'm just stepping away from the water was getting a bit close for me.
Yeah. Be careful.
On those rocks. Yeah, well.
Yeah. So what would you say to someone that says, oh, I can't be hypnotized?
I get that all the time. I can't be hypnotized. Well, you've been hypnotized to believe that. That's somewhere you've had an experience where you thought, okay, that's what my particular programming is. However, it's a matter of permission. You give yourself permission to go into that deeply relaxed state and focused only, where am I going? Okay. Focused only on the voice of the hypnotist or the person you're seeing. And you just take yourself into that very relaxed place. And in fact, I test people on the phone before they even come, so that they know and I know that they're going to respond. Because if they're going to fight, what's the point?
Yeah.
So you have to allow yourself to go on that and give yourself permission.
And it's
powerful.
interesting, these things. I often think, how do we know that if we're in a state of hypnosis or not? Because we are being I guess, bombarded with the influences around us daily, all the time, and particularly when it comes to media and social media. And, it's like, how can we not become in hypnosis? I think
we're already in trance all the time, because we're walking around in whatever we think our reality is, or whatever we perceive it to be, because we can only perceive it as we've been conditioned to perceive the circumstances around us. So when we do hypnosis, what we're doing is putting one foot into your trance and getting you to pop over into a different trance for a while, or permanently, if we're looking for permanent change.
So people might wonder also, there is obviously a difference in between doing hypnosis to change a behavior in comparison to stage hypnosis as such. So maybe you want to explain the
Oh,
difference there.
okay. If someone is coming to see me for hypnotherapy to change behavior, to go from something that's causing them not to be enjoying life, turning it over to something else, they're giving themselves permission to come along and do it. Whereas in a stage show, so if I've got 100 people in a stage show, I do a few tests at the beginning, probably 50 or 60%, maybe more, will respond. And then I ask them to come up on stage and they all pull their hands down, because not everyone's an extrovert. Not everyone wants to be on stage. And then you might get, 15 to 20% of the audience up on stage. Out of those, some people are not going into that deep internal focus. They're thinking they heard a phone, it's one of their friends watching, so their focus goes back to the external. They come out of trance.
Yeah.
So I end up with maybe 5 to 10%, maybe more of the audience that will stay on the stage. They just respond, which is really a lot of fun for me and the audience.
Yeah.
And then at the end, when you leave the door of the room, all those things will just come off. So when they leave the stage, I get them to still have a bit of fun. So the audience, the show is in amongst the audience. And then I make sure I stand at the door to make sure everybody is out of trance, that they're no longer Steve Irwin, or they're no longer responding to some of the funny things we do. And right, you can go home now.
Yeah. So, as you said, not everyone is going to be, there's going to be a certain amount of people that are willing to go into that deep trance more than others. And usually it is people that are a little bit more extrovert too.
All they have to do is trust me. And that's the first thing I'm doing when I get on the stage, is winning people over, creating trust so we can make it happen. Yeah.
It's incredible. So often people say, so can you make me dance like a chicken?
Yes, I can, but it's so cliche, it's boring. Because that's what people are conditioned to. Like, they think, oh, you're going to turn me into a chicken, or the other one I get is that you're going to use it unethically on a woman. And why, that's not in me. Why would you do that? Why would you hypnotize someone to love you? I just prefer that to be very natural.
Yeah. And as you and me know, we know that people are in full control, and sometimes people think that they're not in control. We wouldn't be doing something if you told me to rob the bank and it goes against my values. I probably wouldn't go and do that, hey?
Well, I've had a gentleman. I do a routine where I hand around the microphone and tell people it's a joint. And I have had one man refuse it because he said, no, that's not me. The other thing that we have to be aware of is if it is reframed.
Yeah.
So say if it was reframed, say, right, your family is being held hostage, and if you don't rob the bank, something will happen to you, then that could work in that direction.
Yeah.
So it is, if you get to that, if we go down this rabbit hole, then you look at the Robert Kennedy assassination, and Sirhan, the refugee that shot him. He was in jail for life, never showed any remorse, never got released or anything like that, because the theory goes that he was hypnotized to shoot and then forget that he'd done the shooting.
Yeah.
So I recreate that in some of my shows, which
Oh,
gets a little freaky when someone shoots me and then forgets that they've shot me.
wow.
It's only with a cap gun. So yeah, it can be done. However, it's not for someone just to give it a go. You've got to have so many checks in place that, again, when the person leaves the show,
Mm,
that is all off. They remember just everything is fun, and
mm.
there's no um, lingering suggestions.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all directed at me.
Yeah.
So, and it is only a cap gun.
Mm, yeah. That's incredible. So, how many people do you normally get to the shows? How many people usually?
Oh, you get a couple of hundred. I do a show called Girls Night Out, which is just for the girls, and that's been very successful. You get up to 300 ladies come to a show, and I have
Okay.
some male assistants
Yeah.
that make it more of a fun girls' night out. Sort of like Magic Mike, crossed with
Okay.
hypnosis. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite funny.
Yeah. Incredible. So, how do you start off when you do the stage
Oh,
hypnosis?
you go to sorry. Oh, what happened then?
That's all right.
Uh,
Camera is
I'm
off.
back. No. I've come back on. Uh, you go. A lot of people ask me that. How do you do it? And I say to them, well, to go to there's hypnosis school, and I just tell them it's a lot like Hogwarts. You go to platform 9 3/4, catch a train, and go to this hypnosis school. But no, it's fairly simple. A passion helps, and then there's a lot of processes to make the show happen. To first of all to get people to the show, and then to get people to come up and be volunteers. I remember when I first started, one of the first shows I did was 20 people in the audience, not very many. And I used to think to myself, what if no one gets hypnotized?
Mm.
But there's always someone. And then I remember doing a show in Dubbo. I had about 80 people there. And I'd never thought about people not coming up, but no one came up.
Oh, wow.
And I said, hey, this is going to be a very short show. So, look, we could have done it the easy way. Now we'll do it my way. And I just got everyone to sit in their chair and just walk around until I got half a dozen people. And they got up on the stage and they stayed there. So
Yeah.
really good responses. So you've got to have a great deal of flexibility, creativity, confidence,
Yeah.
and just go and do it, make it happen.
And you got to be very good at the language too, because it's all about the language.
Oh, language and voice, tonality.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. What do they say? Percentage of words only about 7%.
7%, 38% tonality,
Yeah.
55% body language. So
Yeah.
you're using everything to
Mm,
get people to, well, the first thing is, well, you've got to get the trust. Then you've
mm,
got to get them, as we go through a couple of tests, to respond
yeah.
so that they know that they can do it,
Mm,
and
mm,
then get them to come on stage. And the next thing is just close your eyes,
mm, mm.
take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, just let waves of relaxation flow.
Be careful what you say now. I'm very easily hypnotized, Wayne. You got to be careful.
Well, what we can do is give people a quick experience. It's not like you're not going to go around cluck like a chicken, but it'll give them a little touch of what it's like. It takes about a minute.
Okay, so can the listeners who listen to the podcast do that too, or do they have to see you?
No. They can be sitting at home, so long as they're not driving.
Okay, all right. So shall we give that a go?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so what I'll get you to do is make sure you're sitting in a place where you can just be undisturbed for a minute or two, and you can't be driving or operating machinery. If you are, turn this off and listen to it later. So what I'll get you to do is just allow yourself to sit or lay down comfortably, and just close your eyes so you can lead the way, Corinne. And just take a nice, easy, deep breath in through your nose. And as you breathe out slowly through your mouth, give yourself permission to relax. When you've emptied your lungs, take another easy, deep breath in, filling your lungs. And then as you breathe out slowly through your mouth, this time, just imagine waves of relaxation are washing through your body from the top of your head, all down through your body, the tips of your toes. And as you've done this with your eyes closed, do an internal scan and look for the most relaxed place of your body. Maybe it's the left foot or the right foot. Maybe it's the left hand or the right hand. Or maybe it's somewhere else. When you find it, just allow yourself to acknowledge it, or you could nod when you found the most relaxed place of your body. Great. Use your imagination and imagine you can draw it up into your eyes and all the muscles and micro muscles in and around your eyes filled with your own beautiful relaxation until your muscles around your eyes are so loose, limp and relaxed you just couldn't be bothered open. And then continue to draw this relaxation, this time into your eyelids, filling your eyelids with great pools of relaxation till your eyelids so heavy with relaxation that they too just couldn't be bothered. Now, when you know, focus on the relaxation in your eyes and the muscles in your eyes and your eyelids. When you know that your eyes are so relaxed that they won't open, focus only on them being so heavy with relaxation they'll stay closed. When you get to this level of relaxation, where your eyes are so heavy with relaxation that they won't work, you can test them. And you'll find while the focus is only on relaxation, your eyes will just be stuck closed right where they are. So you can test it. I'm watching you, and you test it, and you're not opening. Is that what's happening for you, Corinne?
Yeah.
Okay, until I bring your focus right out back to the external, when I click my fingers, you can just release that, open your eyes, come back to the room.
Oh, I just love it.
It's so easy, and that's when you get to that point, then it's very easy to allow yourself, having had that easy experience, it's easy to allow yourself just to drop down deeper and go to a place only as deep as you need to go to make the changes you want to make. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really taking people on a bit of a journey, eh?
It's a huge journey.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I was sitting, experience the first hypnosis when I did my training, and everyone's a bit, oh, we're going to experience hypnosis now. It's all exciting first time, and I think most people think, it's not going to happen to me, nah, I'm going to do my best. I remember thinking, I'm going to do my best not to be, I'm not going to, I'm not going to go up on stage. I'm not going to, but I can remember, I can't remember actually how long the hypnotists were talking. And I can imagine it was quite a long time. And we were sitting, getting more and more relaxed. And I could feel my body just slumping forward. And once he got us awake, he said, can you feel the heat on the seat? And I'm going, no way, no way. And, he kept on asking. And I was like, oh my God, I can actually feel, no, you got to be kidding me. I could feel the heat underneath my, on the seat. And I was literally just blown away. And some people couldn't even sit down, and the hypnotist said, well, if you find that, your chair is so hot, you can come up on the stage here. And,
yes.
And then the journey started. It was absolutely incredible. And absolutely incredible. But back to again, so people really get a clear idea of how little really words are. It's about really, we were saying 7% word, you said 38% tonality, and then the rest body language.
Yes.
So just for people to kind of reflect on that a little bit, hey, because when we watch, I'll say TV or shows, there's so much more than the words.
Yeah, well, you can play with it by turning down the volume and then watching what's happening, and you'll still get a good sense of what's happening in whatever it is that you're watching, just by looking at the body language.
Yeah, and we work with that a lot in therapy too. I do, I'm sure you do too. If you want to get someone to feel confident, there are certain poses that are going to make you feel more confident. For example, we've heard of the power pose, or lifting the chest up, or the Wonder Woman with the hands on the hips, for example. It's impossible to kind of feel really depressed and anxious when we're in a certain state and we bring feelings into it.
Yes.
But on the other hand, when we kind of shoulders forward and we close our heart, that is a lot easier to feel anxious in those positions, isn't it?
Certainly is. So our body does express a lot of different things. Yes.
And by watching someone too, we subconsciously kind of become affected by someone's posture, don't we?
Yes. Or if you go on the stage, if I crept on the stage with my shoulders down, hoping no one sees me, that's going to have a huge impact. And if you go out confident, you own it, and you are the hypnotist when you go on stage, for example, or the speaker, people know that you're the speaker, and there's things called mirror neurons. So you can change the mood of the audience by the mood that you take on the stage, or even our own conversations. And when we're in groups or one-on-one, there's some people you just feel uplifted being around them. And there's other people you're just saying, my God, how can I get away from this drain of my energy?
Yeah, that's right. And one of my mentors, Tony Robbins, he's a master of that. Also, obviously NLP trained, and the state that he brings people in, hey, that's really, it's high energy. He's like high energy, and he gets people to visualize, feeling all the feelings of, bringing that, embody it really. So, I often do it myself in my own life, when I think about something I want to achieve, like in visualization, for example, when you put yourself in a state, you see yourself where you want to be, but you bring in all the feelings, what you can hear, what you can feel, the sounds.
Yes. It's so important. We do these things unconsciously, but when we become aware of what we're doing, then we can take control of it, and we can rise above our circumstances, so that we are in control of how we feel, not the circumstances that are around us, which happens to most people. Their feelings are controlled by their circumstances.
Yeah, and it's easy for a lot of people to kind of react, and it just,
instead of being in control.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just thinking, because a very big word at the moment, you hear, just in the current situation, we hear a lot of people saying waking up, they want people to wake up, or I tend to say become aware. How would you describe that? What do people actually mean when people say wake up? It's time to wake up. The world needs to wake up. How would you?
That's a really good question.
That's a big question.
then you have to think, well, what does waking up mean? What are you waking up to? What have you been asleep to? And I think it goes back to what we were saying earlier, is the blinkers being taken off our eyes to see more possibilities.
Mm.
And it also goes into our mental diet.
Mm.
What are we being fed? If we only have one source of information, then we'll regurgitate that and take it on as our belief. And that's all we'll see until we discover, oh, there's other voices. When we become aware that there's other voices, other perspectives, other meanings to what it is that we are consciously aware of in our perspective of the world.
Yeah, yeah. It's I'm thinking of, in hypnosis, when we reach that point of what do we call it? Critical faculty, where we can get more access to the subconscious, which I guess if we don't have the tool, and if we don't have shall I say, open mind or a growth mindset, where we can set aside our kind of, and just think about the infinite possibilities, so to say, and go, well, could this be true? Could that be true? Rather than straight away just put the shutters down and go, no, I don't want to see that. But do you understand what I mean? Like, to really...
I see a lot of people do that. And I've got a person who is close to me that doesn't want to see anything else except what it is that they want to see. And just block off everything else, because life is easier that way. Because if you are aware of other things, then what are you going to do with them? What is your responsibility to becoming aware of that need to change?
Yeah.
So it's a big one, and that's the old thing: awareness precedes a change in behaviour.
Yeah.
They have to be aware first, and then when you become aware, what are you going to do with that knowledge?
Yeah, well, that's where it all starts, isn't it? I guess loosen people model off the world, so they become a little bit more aware. And I say then, after you got that awareness, where you sit in that awareness and go, wow, okay, here I am. This is where I've gotten to, because this is what I've created. Here I sit now. That can be very confronting for a lot of people. And then after, very confronting, because there's a lot of feelings, and we have to take full responsibility, really, for getting to where we are, in the sense of, and I guess for me, I think the forgiveness there is a lot of things that happened, or we have gotten to the point where we are because we were unconscious of, the journey. We weren't aware, and all of a sudden we become aware, and we go, wow, we can take that as a really positive thing, because when we start to realize, wow, I'm now more aware, I've got more choice, I can do things in a different way. Or it could be very, very confronting. How do you see that?
I think the beginning of all change, if you're not happy with where you are in life, is looking in the mirror and just saying, I am responsible. Not Wayne is responsible. You're talking to yourself. I am responsible for where I am right now.
Yeah.
So what is it that I've been doing or thinking that has created this?
Yeah.
And that is a really great question to ask.
Yeah.
Because you are where you are because of who you are, what your beliefs are, what your thinking is, and what your actions are.
And that, I feel that that's when it's useful for someone to have a little bit of support and help, because it can be quite, emotional and confronting. Just have a little bit of support there, and then sit in that a little bit and accept that position, because I really believe in all the treatment or clients that I do in terms of physical healing, as well as spiritual, mental, emotional. It's about really getting people to just accept first. That's really the first step of healing. And there comes with acceptance a lot of forgiveness, doesn't it?
Forgiveness is very important. Gratitude,
Yeah.
all those different things. If people can get scared of, well, if I'm responsible, how do I get out of it? Because I don't know how to get away out of this spot. And if you've got the resources to get you where you are, you've got the resources to get you anywhere.
Yeah.
So you do have the resources. So I want everyone to be reassured. You do have the resources. It's just learning how to use them.
Yeah. And it's all really in our thinking, because thinking subconsciously or consciously obviously creates body sensations and feelings, and those feelings then also steers our actions, doesn't it? Because and we do this, I mean, we all do it subconsciously and consciously, and that's where I also feel it's so useful for people to connect with their body however they do it, because the body reflects out what we're feeling. If something is wrong, the body starts to show things, doesn't it? Something.
Yes. And movement's so important, because as you've probably heard before, motion changes emotion.
That's
so if
right.
you're feeling flat, sitting in your chair, slumped, watching negative news on the TV, it's a downward spiral. If you turn it off, get out and have a walk, start asking yourself different questions, or just being grateful for what there is around you. And certainly for me, walking to the beach, I'm grateful for the dolphins I saw this morning. There's a couple of whales further out. The temperature's nice, just right. Powerful ocean. The water is crystal clear. I can see just where I am, right down to the bottom. And it's just an awesome thing.
And in the time of despair or hardship, I really am a true believer that's where we got our mind, is our power, that we have the opportunity to decide really what we're going to think. I mean, and we'll say if we were, I mean, you see people that are paraplegic and they get on with their lives and they do extraordinary things, and they've really used their mind in their advantage, haven't they?
I certainly have, and certainly having the ability to control what you think, or awareness, because your feelings are also a bit of a Geiger counter, because your feelings are telling you where your focus is.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling depressed, the focus is on your negative past. If you're feeling anxious, you're thinking about negative events about the future. So again, it's coming back to now, being grateful and just feeling, choosing to feel joy, which will come from gratitude.
That's right. And the power is all in the focus, isn't it? So if we get unhelpful feelings or uncomfortable feelings, it's really important, hey, to address what was I actually thinking just before I got those.
Catch yourself. Like you can find that you say things that you don't realize you're saying.
Yeah.
And having an awareness of that. Gee, did I just say that? Whatever that particular thing was. Because that could be an expression of a limiting belief. These guys behind me are enjoying the lockdown there.
Yeah, they're climbing and they're behind you.
Yeah, they've got to climb. They've got to climb down the rocks, across a few more rocks, and out to this little outcrop that you can see behind them.
Oh wow, beautiful.
So he's probably trying to climb up and then across. But and they're exercising it because they're out here instead of watching negative things around the world. Their focus is on connecting with nature, making sure they got the right bait, watching the water, feeling the sensation of the line. Yeah.
I was reading an article yesterday. Just came to me now, and it was talking about what was happening in the world, and a little bit about people that we call empaths. So, and I'm a great believer. I'm definitely an empath, and this person was saying, just if you can connect to people that do connect with nature and earth, are more sensitive to energy and what's going around in the world. And yeah, I just think a lot of people that are in a kind of in a deeper state of hypnosis or trance at this point of time, if they could go out and connect a little bit more with nature and
Yeah, go and walk in nature. Like we've got plenty of national parks here, state forests that you can go and walk in. I've got a lot around me on the Central Coast. There's a couple of favourites where I can walk out onto different headlands. There's no one around, and I can just sit and listen to the ocean and the wind in the trees and watch the different colours in the water. So the dolphins, sometimes seals, whales. Yeah, I'm very blessed and I'm very grateful for being able to be in this place.
Yeah, yeah. And you obviously am not able to do your stage hypnosis right at this point. Is that right?
Correct. I had a couple of shows cancelled in July, 3 or 4 shows. August got cancelled because of the perception that we were going to go into lockdown. Even that was a couple of weeks ago. So I lost August. I've still got a couple in September, but I don't know if they're going to go ahead because of rules around the number of people per so many square metres.
What about down here in Victoria? Maybe we need to get you down here to Victoria, Wayne.
Am I allowed in?
I am. You may be. Victoria's open to everyone, but you may not be able to ever leave again.
Sounds like Hotel California, doesn't it? For those of us who are that old.
No, but it would be great. Jokes aside, as I said, when mean, it was probably 2 years ago when you appeared and I saw you do stage hypnosis. I was actually thinking it would be fantastic to have you come down this way. So maybe that's something that we can start to think about. Otherwise, maybe we can look at doing something online.
Yeah, we can do things online. Love to come down and do some more stage shows. I have done some in Melbourne and some very, very funny places. And of course, street hypnosis. So I love doing demonstrations on the street. Just educating people that it is real and it's something they can tap into to change their lives for the better.
Yeah, I think it would be absolutely amazing to do an event or perhaps get a little bit more awareness of the mind in general out to, all of the universe, really, everyone in the world, to start to understand how incredibly powerful they are, which I think is one of the, not my secret, but some people's secret that they want to keep away from us. And that is how incredibly powerful we are. We are creative being beyond like our imagination, incredibly powerful.
It is so powerful.
And I think that if we could really go out and change the world in that way, that we get people to realize, what they are capable of creating if we just allow ourselves to open our mind to that infinite possibility.
Yeah, sure.
So, so I'm just thinking, Wayne, to finish it off, just reflecting on your life so far. I don't know, and I haven't asked your age, but just where you are in life now, just you're looking at your life, if you were to live it again, would you have done it in a different way at all?
It's a hard question because you don't know, do you? I think it's all out there for a purpose. I would have liked to have been more aware of the possibilities, to back myself more in the hunches that I had for things that I would have liked to have done, and not just have held back because of conditioning and beliefs around the family and what other people's expectations are. to live your own life instead of living what other people expect you to live. Yeah.
But hey, isn't it a fantastic point in life you're at now where you're aware of that? Because imagine if you were to lie on the deathbed today and say that, what you said now you got the rest of your life in front of you, hey?
Yeah. And
yeah, it's beautiful view there where Wayne is at the moment. If you're listening to the podcast,
these two guys out here, just out in the rocks, and it's a beautiful world. It's a beautiful place. Life is good.
Yeah, and before we finish off today, I just started thinking a little bit about what fear does, Wayne, to our mind. Have you got any kind of anything you want to share? What happens when someone subconsciously is in a state of fear?
Well, they close themselves down and they restrict the possibilities for their life. It's opportunities they don't take. It's like when I'm in the surf, if I think a wave is too big for me, I'm missing out on the opportunity to have the biggest thrill of my life. So it blocks off opportunities. Or if I used to have a really bad fear of sharks growing up, which doesn't help when you're in the surf because every shadow is, rip your legs off you and this sort of thing. Thanks to the education of Jaws as a child. So if your focus is on that, you're missing out on the joy of being in the ocean, of enjoying the surf and the beauty of creation. If you've got a negative focus or that fear is holding you back. Some people have the fear of driving on the highway, so they miss out on the joy of traveling to other destinations. They're stuck only in their local area, or whatever the fear is, it's restricting you. And that is a huge one. When you change that, you can change fear really quickly into power. And people look, and all of a sudden they do see that there are other possibilities for their life. And it's like you've broken shackles, chains off their legs, that they can actually move forward and go and enjoy life.
Yeah, it's absolutely so true. It definitely paralyzes us, doesn't it? And it stops us from really living our authentic life.
Yes, it does.
And often following our soul purpose. And it's really also, I feel it's got a detrimental effect on our body. So it affects our immune system as well. Fear, it really breaks everything down.
Oh, it does. It does. So it gives you it's a different vibration in your body. It must be triggering certain chemical reactions in your body. There's people who have a far greater knowledge of that than myself who talk about the diseases that come from the emotions that are disempowering. Some people call them negative emotions. So it's very, very important for our health and longevity to be maintaining a state of mind which empowers us.
Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure having a chat to you, Wayne, and getting to know you more and more. Yesterday we had our first brief little chat, and today I've gotten to know you more. And for all of our listeners, this podcast is, of course, on Podbean, and it's also recorded on YouTube, so you can check it out there as well and see the beautiful place where Wayne has been standing there near the cliff. And
I'll show you again.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. So thank you so much, Wayne. I'll make sure that your details are also in the podcast or on the YouTube, so people can get in contact with you if they want to. And As I said, it would be absolutely amazing to attend your stage show one day, wherever that will be. Maybe I can convince you, maybe I can hypnotize you to come down to Victoria to do a show here.
Well, we can do that. We can do that. I love traveling, so that'd be
Yeah.
just awesome.
Yeah. So thanks again today, Wayne. Is there anything else that you want to share with the listeners?
I think you've asked all the right questions and drawn a lot out. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Karen. Take care.